Do I think that traditional marketers are losing relevance?
Yeah. Yeah. Come let me teach you a lesson. Come let me teach you a lesson. Lebo Lion with the tweets. Follow me back to my nest. Lebo Lion with the podcast. Teach you lesson cause I got class. Lebo Lion with the impact. You be lying, that's a real fact. Come let me teach you a lesson. Come let me teach you a lesson. Lebo Lion with the tweets. Follow me back to my nest.
Hi tribe, I'm Lebo Lion and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is a special episode where we're going to be talking about a new extension to the channel that I'm really excited about. It's called The Diary of a CMO. And for those of you who don't know what a CMO is a Chief Marketing Officer. That's the person who's responsible for leading the team that does all the marketing within an organization. These are the people who help us define culture, build brands, and build products and services that we love. And they are not spoken about enough. They are not highlighted enough in society. And so this platform is going to do just that. You've often heard me speaking on social media about what is marketing, what is a brand, why are they important? Well, now we're going to talk to the people who are working on the ground with those brands, but also within organizations. And they're going to give us a real life day-to-day account of what it really takes to build a brand and what marketing looks like on the African continent. Another key element of us discussing marketing and CMOs is culture. We need to see representation in the conversations that we have. Globally, the narrative about marketers has always been a white man in glasses or somebody who's not African. This conversation allows us to shine the spotlight on the African people who are breaking barriers and boundaries and building brands and creating strategies that are world class. Hi tribe, this is a kind reminder to ask you to like, share, subscribe, and do the things that you need to do to get this podcast to reach the right people. We want to grow this community and elevate it to greater heights, and we need your help to do this. If you're not already subscribed to our newsletter, please click the link in our bio to subscribe so you can get all things marketing, brand building, and mindset in our weekly EIM newsletter. And don't forget to keep checking in our link when we have events and masterclasses. Enjoy the rest of the episode. And to help me out with this episode, because I know you guys will have a lot of questions about why we're doing this, why now, we've got the team and they'll be asking me questions that would be on your mind about our new installation called The Diary of a CMO. Let's get into it.
So what is the Diary of a CMO?
Look, I know some of you are hearing this name, The Diary of a CMO, and it's already making you think about another podcast that exists called The Diary of a CEO. And it would be remiss of me not to say that we were inspired by that podcast when we thought about this name. It's such a perfect name to describe getting the inner workings, the mind of these brilliant human beings who are creating these brands that define us and create meaning for us. So we were inspired by Simon Bartlett's podcast where he speaks about the diary of a CEO, right? Getting into the minds of the people who lead us. And we thought, let's do a bit of a spin-off and talk about the diary of a CMO, talk about the marketers who are changing and shifting culture and building brands and businesses that we love.
What kind of guests can we expect going forward?
The title is pretty self-explanatory, so you're definitely going to get a lot of CMOs. I think what will be different about this podcast, though, and our guests is that our definition and our illustration of what a CMO is probably unconventional, right? A lot of people think that a CMO is a person who works for a brand and they sit in an office, but a CMO is anybody who leads culture, anybody who's got a POV and they're able to commercialize it in a way that is scalable, right? So we're thinking about some of our favorite celebrities like DJ Zintle, who's built brands like Era by DJ Zintle, for example, or some content creators and thought leaders who've been able to take personal branding to the next level. So we're not just speaking to people and leaders and organizations, but we're talking to the entire industry or stakeholder board of CMOs. And we're reframing what that looks like because the world is changing. And in this changing world, a CMO cannot solely be the guy who works for a listed company in an office. It has expanded and we need to make room for that.
Is this the death of the Lebo Lion show, or it's just its evolution?
Oh my goodness, the death of the Lebo Lion show, never. This is not the death of the Lebo Lion show. I'm going to be quite honest with everybody watching and say that we've been trying to figure out the best way to navigate the Lebo Lion show. While we do have great numbers when it comes to views, we're trying to find a way to make the platform as meaningful as possible for the future of how the world is shifting. As you've seen, we've done masterclass style content, where I'll share invaluable information that you can use in your business or your pursuits. But we also want to know how we can make it part and parcel of your other life experiences. So we want to expand it more and not just keep it to business and marketing conversations. But we know that we still have an avid group of people who are here for the marketing and here for the business. And so we wanted to create this segment, the Diary of a CMO, to meet that demand.
Let's get a bit into marketing. Do you think traditional marketers are losing relevance in this age of content creators?
Do I think that traditional marketers are losing relevance? Oh, that's a big one. And guys, I don't know why you guys get touched to this day by the things that I say. You should expect unhinged opinions by now. It's been almost 10 years of the Lebo Lion show, so you should expect it. But I really do think that marketers are losing relevance in this day and age. Traditional marketers are losing relevance in this day and age. And I'll tell you why I'm saying this. The world has shifted, and technology has even changed the way or the makeup of organizations. Companies have to think differently, they have to move differently, and they have to make bold decisions. This means that the way we categorize things and people has also changed. And if we try too hard to stick to the old way of doing things, we will not be able to ride the future. And if you understand anything about the future, it's that you cannot predict it. But what you can do is predict culture, predict trends, and find the key individuals who will help us navigate that. And I think if we think about marketers in a traditional sense, that will not be possible. We have to expand, A, the concept of what a marketer is, B, what marketing is, and see how to do marketing in this new world. If you want to keep it to the way it's always been done, you're going to be left behind. And I'm saying this to anybody from a senior level all the way to junior, all the way to being at school and studying. Rethink how you do marketing. Rethink how you think marketing. Approach it differently. There are people all over the world showing you how it needs to be done for the future. Look at those case studies and start to move differently so that you're not irrelevant for the culture that you are trying to build brands for.
What's the one marketing truth no one wants to say out loud?
I have so many. What's the one marketing truth that people don't want to say out loud? Oh no, I can't say that. That's a naughty one. That marketing is for creatives. I have a very big problem with this mindset because it strips away the fact that marketing is a business activity, and I'm not saying creativity cannot be business, but I just think the way people perceive creativity and they say marketers are creative, they're not saying marketers are creative business people. They're saying that marketers are just creatives, right? And I don't even think there should be such a thing as just a creative. I'm just speaking in the language of how people are trying to frame this, right? So marketing is commercial creativity. It is how we strategically align company objectives with culture and people. And that's something that, needs you to be incredibly intellectual to pursue and to do. So for me, stripping it down to, you're a creative, we're just going to put you on TV ads or things that look nice or just influencer campaigns or just the things that you see, for me, doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't respect the job that marketers do and the contribution that we make from a value chain perspective. Marketers are contributing from the beginning, not at the end with the things that the public sees. And when we call marketers creators, we're stripping away the fact that they were involved from the beginning and that they make real business decisions. One thing that I think about often, and I mean, I watch a lot of content about CMOs and just how different companies are navigating marketing globally. One of the big stories right now is the CMO or the CEO of Red Lobster. A young guy, he's 35 years old, and he transformed Red Lobster. They were literally about to lose everything. He came in and he transformed it just by changing their marketing. So that has to tell you that activity is not creative in the traditional sense of what they mean when they say creative. Marketers can change organizations. It can literally change the trajectory. If your company was sinking, it can help the company rise. It can help you build a brand. There's so many things. And all of these things are things that the people in finance, for example, measure, right? When we talk about a listed company, that company can only be listed if it's a brand, right? It has to have a real reputation in the market. Who creates that? Marketers. How? Through sales, through all of the things that they do. So to call it creative, for me, makes no sense. I wouldn't describe myself as a creative. I describe myself as a strategist and an intellectual before I'm a creative. I'm not really good at creative. And a lot of the marketers that I admire are exactly the same. When you think about Rory Sutherland, Seth Godin, so many people, I wouldn't look at those people and say creative. I wouldn't look at them and say media industry. I would say, whoa, that's a smart guy. Maybe economics, maybe IT, maybe science. Those are the real marketers.
Speaking of culture and being in the digital age, we're seeing a rise in influencer marketing. Mm-hmm. Would you say influencer culture has made marketers lazy?
Would you say that influencer culture has made marketers lazy? I think influencer culture has exposed the laziness in organizations. I think there are a lot of brilliant marketing minds on the African continent who have bold ideas that they want to execute in the organizations that they serve. But before we had social media, teams could get away with spending a lot of money on things that aren't really producing results. And then the person at the top gets all the recognition for that because we can't really see it from a consumer-facing perspective. I think what influencer marketing has done and social media have done is that they've brought the brand and organization closer to its consumers and to the market. And so now brands are more exposed. Their lack of skills is exposed. Their lack of knowledge is exposed. Whatever they don't have, we see it in how campaigns are executed. We see it in the decisions that they make in terms of the influencers that they choose. We see it in so many things. And I think that has happened because there hasn't been something that has shone a spotlight on them. So people have been able to get away with being a little bit lazy. And I'm not saying all marketers are lazy in every organization, but what I think we are seeing is the culture shifting in organizations. The demands, what you have to do to get results has changed because we can read it faster. It's easier to get the results now. Insights from social media, all of these things. People talk about influencers. You just can't afford to slip up. And before there was room to slip up. So I think it's exposing some of the laziness, some of the gaps that we're not willing to fix because we thought it's okay, but now it's actually exposing the fact that it's not okay. So teams must invest in training. Teams must invest in understanding the education and the strategy behind influencer marketing and social media. From what I've perceived so far, it's either agencies or brands think that social media and influencer marketing are really basic activities that are completely superficial, and if you just throw money at it and pick influencers you like, it will work. But I think time is showing them that it's not the case. I also think there's influencer fatigue, where influencers are getting tired of the briefs that they're getting because it shows that the brand doesn't really know them and they haven't looked at their platform, so they're creating campaigns that actually don't fit. And if anybody understands influencer marketing, you know that their platform is everything. Every time I post a video, that is me putting myself out to the market, to possible sponsorships, possible customers. If I get low views, if I get low engagement, that's a reflection of me, not of the brand. And brands have to shift their thinking and say, but these are business people. They own entities which are on social media. And the public gets to view their performance every day. Unlike organizations who can show us their performance every year or every couple of months. We show people every day. If you've got an online platform. So the risk of collaborating with brands who don't get what they're doing is getting higher and higher, and it's just not worth it. The moment that we can fully monetize all social media platforms, we're going to see the death of marketing agencies.
I have one. Speaking of the performance, speaking of influencer marketing, online social media, why don't we hear about or speak more about the data side of marketing?
That's such a good question. Why don't we hear more about the data side of marketing? I think it's because data scares people. The concept of data sounds so techie, I think, to a lot of marketers. And this also speaks to the makeup of the marketing industry from a talent perspective. Traditionally, remember, you could be a graphic designer and they'd call you a marketer. You could be many things and you'd be put in the marketing pot. Now that we have tech kind of driving a lot of marketing activities, it's showing you the intellectual skill that's needed. And I'm not saying artists are not intellects or that graphic designers are not intellects, but I'm saying from an education perspective, the way you need to be thinking for you to consider yourself a marketer. Because if you're a marketer of this time and the future, data has to be your best friend. You can't fear it. In fact, I think most marketers that you're going to be seeing, in the past, it was like guys who do ecos, they kind of seem like marketers. Now it's going to be tech guys. They're going to be the new marketers of the future. So people have been afraid of the word data when data really is just information. And if you're a marketer who's really good at strategy or who understands that understanding the numbers helps you craft better campaigns, you will be obsessed with data. And not only that, but you'll realize how much creative freedom you have when you have a lot of data at your disposal. So data enables creativity, collaboration, and campaign optimization. You can literally help organizations achieve better results when they have data that they can understand and interpret in a way that serves the market and the organizations. I think people are just scared because the word data comes with all these tech implications, but it really is just information.
Just off the back of that question, can you be culturally relevant and commercially successful, or do marketers always have to pick a side?
I wouldn't put them as an either or. I would think that to be commercially successful, you have to be culturally relevant. Because to me, culture is the ecosystem that you do business in. So there's no way you can get a result in an ecosystem if you don't serve the ecosystem. Therefore, cultural relevancy has to be at the top of the list. How do we, A, understand the culture, and then B, serve the culture so that we can get results out of it? Yeah, that's what I think. So you can only be commercially successful if you understand the culture.
Top 3 skills you think top marketers and CMO need to survive the marketing landscape?
Lord have mercy, they will be so mad at me for this. Because how would I know? I think the value of someone like me in our industry is that I've been in a lot of different positions. Before I was Lebo Lion doing this, I used to be a young CMO of my own tech company. And a lot of people don't know this, but if you've been following me, you know by now, which means I have an appreciation for tech, and I really do love it. I don't believe you can do marketing without tech. To me, it just makes no sense. So I bring that edge. For me to evolve from young CMO selling software, building a company that does that, and then going into building a brand and creating offerings around that made so much sense, especially doing it on social media, because that's one of the most powerful technological tools of our time, right? So when I come with my perspective, take it from that. I think I represent a lot of what the future of marketing looks like. So I think the skills that CMOs need are, A, people skills. You know, humanization becomes increasingly important when tech is involved. If you don't understand people, not just the people you work with, but the people you serve. So those are all your stakeholders, the influencers, the customers, your audiences, because your audiences aren't always your customers. They might not even be consumers, but they're bystanders, right? They know somebody consumes X toothpaste and they will comment when they see something happening. So you have all these stakeholders that you have to understand, and you need to understand people to be able to do that. If you don't value people, you will not be able to navigate a tech-enabled world. The second thing for me is social media. I know CMOs think that social media is just a playing tool for Gen Zs and Gen Alphas, but it really isn't. This is where the future leaders of organizations are going to be found, on LinkedIn, on TikTok. In fact, I can bet you in the next 10 years, and I think that might be even going too far, CMOs of huge companies are going to be found from a TikTok they made or a YouTube video that they've made. The world is changing and people are just not as rigid as they used to be. So you can't discount that. It's still part of people participating in the job market, in the brand market. And if you're sleeping on that because you're relying on your qualifications and your networks, I think you're going to see that it's not going to work for you, especially because one of the most powerful things that social media is doing is it's making the customer your loudest and most potent stakeholder. And this means that a CMO who has the buy-in of the public as well as the board of the organization is going to be a better fit than somebody who's just liked and known by the people within the company. And then the third one, so I said humanization, people, social media, and there's so many things. I think marketers have to be systems thinkers. And I know that sounds like a weird thing to do, but if you're a CMO, you're like the puppet master. You're controlling and ideating how everything is going to work once it comes together. If you are not a systems thinker, it's going to be very hard for you to make a link, how to link everything and how it's supposed to work. So for me, I believe that you need to be a systems thinker. Tech also relies a lot on different systems. So if you can understand system thinking, you'll also understand how tech works and it won't be so overwhelming to you. And you'll also know how to put data together in a way that serves the organization, because data in and of itself is actually quite meaningless, right? It has almost no value. You have this data, but if somebody doesn't understand what the data is, it has no meaning. So you as the CMO have to be the first mind in dissecting the data and leading the team in how they're supposed to interpret that data to make it have strategic sense to achieve organizational objectives.
My last question, I'm hoping not to go too far into the weeds with this one, but we've spoken about tech quite a lot today. Do you think AI, especially generative AI or these chatbots, is that the death of what a big piece of marketing has been over the last decade, 2 decades, which is SEO, search engine optimization? Because for many brands, that was the holy grail. You know, how do you make sure that your brand, your website, your service is surfaced at the top of, you know, a certain search result? But now, with AI, you have less need to actually go and type in the Google box. You just ask your AI. And now I guess you're hoping and praying that your AI references you in one way or another. So yeah, just keen to get your thoughts around that.
That's a very complex question. And I'm saying this because I think we use the term AI and other tech quite loosely. It's so complex that just understanding AI on its own is a whole minefield. And then understanding, let's say, robotics, everything, it's really complex. What I will say though, and this is where marketers need to be thinking, when you think about technology, you have to be asking yourself, how can I use technology to serve my customers? So your thinking, your strategic thinking when it comes to tech is always people-centric. It's not actually about how the tech works, because you will never really get to know it. You're not a tech expert, you're a marketer, which means you understand the market, which means you understand people. And what I've observed with the rise of tech is that it has created a greater demand for convenience. And when convenience becomes the root of demand, people will use any tools that allow them to access convenience so they have more time on their hands to do other things. So the interesting thing about this for me is then, how do marketers place themselves in that value chain of convenience and that customer journey? How do I as a brand fit into their pursuit of convenience, and how do I make that an enjoyable experience for them or an interesting experience for them? You know, I perceive things like ChatGPT having, before you get to the site, I don't even know how it's going to work, but being able to see ads as you go to search for something before you even get to the platform. You know, so those are small ways that marketers can, for example, plug themselves into the journey. What is the digital customer journey when it comes to those things? In their pursuit to tap into or unearth convenience. That's the first thing. Second thing that people are trying to tap into is connection. People are using social media to connect with like-minded individuals, right? It's a herd mentality, I believe, but I think that's happening because what social media has also done is facilitated a lot of space for individualism. But you can't be an individual without other people validating that your individualism is okay. So people are searching for a community of like-minded people that validates their individualism and their expression. And in that, how do we as marketers use tech to enable that process, right? I mean, we know, for example, that TikTok is a search engine now. When people are looking for recipes and other things, they just go on the FYP, they search. And just that experience, from hashtags to the first 5 videos that come. TikTok has paid search now, so brands can pay to be one of the first videos that are put up there, which is basically a kind of SEO. You know, I just think we almost having a bit of the same thing, but on different platforms, and just showing up a little bit better for easier consumption and faster consumption. So it's more about velocity than it is about the platform, for example. It's more about the connection than it is about the brand. And if brands and CMOs can have that kind of thinking, I think they'll really enjoy the ease that technology can give them.
I have a last question.
Yeah.
So I have a last question, and it's based, it's funny enough, it was an AI question as well.
Yeah.
But I like how you've mentioned, you know, social media and convenience and the need to have a systems thinking. We're seeing a lot of content rolling out on social media, and it's AI generated. And I think the more people use these AI tools, the easier it becomes to identify when something has been written using AI. So my question is, do you think AI has exposed how many marketers were never really strategic to begin with because of the heavy reliance we're seeing now with AI? We start to ask ourselves, were we really strategic as marketers, or we're just relying on this tool because it's convenient and we kind of hiding behind it to really, cover the shortfalls we had when it comes from a strategy perspective? And perhaps that's why we struggled with the systems, and the systems thinking when it comes to putting together the different marketing teams and the campaigns that are rolling out.
Were marketers really strategic? For me, the question actually is, were the right people marketers? If you look at the mix of what a marketer is from a traditional perspective, we had people from advertising, people from sales. Then we had people from the arts, artists, graphic designers. I mean, the list goes on. I don't think we've ever truly had a need for a pure basket of marketers, like people who genuinely are marketers. And so marketers have always been creating from a back foot because they've had to work with teams that don't have the skills that they need for them to be great marketers or to create great campaigns. And so for me, it feels a bit unfair to judge the work that we've seen so far, simply because I don't think most of it that is called marketing is actually marketing. I think what we've seen being done really well is things like advertising. Advertising has been done well. People who do advertising do it well. Public relations, art, we see those things get done well. But what I would love to see is teams with true marketers doing truly marketing work, and then we get to see what the world looks like with real marketing teams doing real marketing. And when I say real, I just mean a team that's made up of people who are marketers, not a mix of the teams. Because what you'll find is, and this is my belief, the more true marketers you have in a team, the less you'll have to spend on everything else. Right? Strategy for me is the bedrock of everything. The better the strategy, the more you can optimize everything else, which means you can spend less money, get more out of it, and innovate at a faster pace. But the less strategic you are, the less you understand culture, the less you are intellectually inclined to make sense of all of that, then the more support you're going to need to make simple things happen. Guys, that was a lot. For those of you who don't know, because sometimes I get comments on my videos and people say, please stop reading the script. You don't have to seem smart. They literally just made up these questions as I was speaking. We did not have these questions pre-planned. That's how we roll here. We live on the edge because audacity is the meal of the day. So really, this is just me speaking from my heart and from my mind because I'm truly passionate about this industry. I wouldn't have been in it for this long if I didn't believe in it. The future is marketing. Everything is marketing. And once all of us are equipped with that mindset, the world is your oyster. I cannot wait to see you on the first episode of Diary of a CMO that we're going to have. And we're going to be speaking to the amazing DJ Zintle, who's going to give us a look into Z Nation, Era by DJ Zintle, and how she built the Era by DJ Zintle personal brand. And every time you watch this podcast, I want you to have this kind of thinking. Everything was once an idea before it existed. But not all ideas make it. So in this conversation, we're asking the crucial question, how do some ideas make it? And who are the incredible, brave individuals who have the courage to make them real? I'm Lebo Lion, and I'll see you on Diary of a CMO. Hi Tribe, this is a kind reminder to ask you to like, share, subscribe, and do the things that you need to do to get this podcast to reach the right people. We want to grow this community and elevate it to greater heights, and we need your help to do this. If you're not already subscribed to our newsletter, please click the link in our bio to subscribe so you can get all things marketing, brand building, and mindset in our weekly EIM newsletter. And don't forget to keep checking in our link when we have events and masterclasses. Enjoy the rest of the episode.
Lebo Lion with the tweets, follow me back to my nest. Lebo Lion with the podcast, teach you lesson cause I got class. Lebo Lion with the impact, you be lying, that's a real fact. Come let me teach you a lesson, come let me teach you a lesson. Lebo Lion with the tweets, follow me back to my nest.